This lesson is going to be on how to understand ratios. A ratio is just a comparison of two different quantities, two or more quantities. There's three different ways to represent a ratio. We're going to use the numbers 3 and 4 in our ratio. So the first way is using words 3 to 4. The second way is using a colon, 3 colon 4. And the third and final way to represent a ratio is 3 over 4 in fraction form. All of these ratios are the same. Since a ratio can be represented as a fraction, you always want to make sure that you're going to reduce all ratios to simplest form. The order in which a ratio is written does make a difference. So this ratio, even using the same numbers, this ratio is different if the 4 came first and then there was 4 colon 3. So even though we're using the same numbers, those two ratios are different from each other. Two ratios that describe the same relationship are said to be equivalent ratios. Equivalent in math just means equal. So a ratio of 3 to 4 is equivalent to a ratio of 6 to 8 because I can reduce 6 to 8 into 3 to 4. It's also equivalent to 30 to 40 because that would simplify to 3 to 4 as well. When we're writing ratios, you have to make sure you read it and write them in the correct order. So you make flubber using the ingredients shown in the table. Write the ratio of cold water to glue. So since cold water came first, that's going to come first in my ratio. So the cold water is 3 over 2. And then we have our colon, and the glue would be 2 cups. So our ratio would be 3 over 2 to 2. If we wanted to get rid of the fraction, I just multiply each number in my ratio by 2. And then I would have 3 to 4. So the ratio of cold water to glue would be 3 to 4. Problem 2. There's 12 months in a year. Jim can garden during 8 months of the year and play golf for 6 months of the year. What's the ratio of the months he cannot garden? So you have to make sure you're reading it carefully, to the months he cannot golf. So the months he cannot garden is 12 minus 8, which is 4. And he cannot golf 12 minus 6, which is 6. So the ratio would be 4 to 6, and I would reduce that to 2 to 3. In a classroom, the ratio of boys to girls is 3 to 4. If there's 12 boys, how many students are there? So our ratio is 3 to 4. That just means that's what it is when it's reduced. If there's 12 boys, I can determine how many girls there are. Just like changing fractions, if I multiply this side by 4, I'm going to multiply this by 4 to get 16. So that means that there's 12 boys and 16 girls. So together, there would be a total of 28 students. A company has a ratio of engineers to managers of 5 to 2. If there's a total of 140 employees, how many engineers and how many managers are there? Since we're given the total, we're going to write an equation. The ratio just means that the same number is being multiplied by the 5 and the 2. Since I don't know what that number is, I'm going to call it x. So 5x plus 2x equals the total of 140. That means 7x equals 140. And when I divide both sides by 7, I have x equals 20. That means 20 is the number that's being multiplied by each number in the ratio. So since the ratio is 5 to 2, I'm going to multiply both numbers in my ratio by 20. So 5 times 20 is 100. 2 times 20 is 40. And I know that that's correct because that total would be 140. So there are 100 engineers and there are 40 managers.